So Justin, thanks for taking the time to chat with us today. The first guest of a new podcast interview series we're going to be launching for Andersen. We're here at the beautiful Wentworth Golf Club, the sun's shining. So just first things first, we're here obviously to talk about Everrati, proud partners with Andersen EV. So if you could just start with a bit of a history of the brand and sort of how you got to where you are today.
No, thank you. Look, Everrati is all about creating the world's most sustainable, iconic electric cars. So, very much around keeping the essence of these beautiful vehicles, the Land Rover you see behind us, various other cars that we have in our portfolio, including the Porsche, the Mercedes Pagoda, the GT40, so some of the world's most iconic cars, and really adding the most beautiful design elements that are in keeping with the cars, but also the best technologies to make them very, very usable for the future.
Yeah, you just touched on the Land Rover, what we're obviously filming with today. Where does this rank in that portfolio of cars you mentioned? This is obviously one of the earliest projects you worked on.
Yeah, so our Land Rover product started life in around 2021. In fact, I think you may have driven this car in a previous life. And we have now created these cars for a number of clients. Generally, they're high net worth individuals, they're thought leaders, they're people that, again, respect automotive design, sustainable luxury, that kind of passion for cars, but also they're sustainability people. So we now have cars in Europe, here in the UK, and in various places in the United States as well.
Amazing. So obviously one of the reasons we wanted to speak to you today and invite you on to this new podcast series is because Andersen are proud partners of Everrati, but you're also an Andersen EV customer yourself. So I just wondered if you could touch on any similarities you see between the Everrati brand and an Andersen EV.
Certainly. I mean, look, I'm as you say, I'm an owner of a Andersen charger. The fact that it is extremely well designed, it's extremely well made, it fits into the home that we have and the home style that we have. And it's all about reliability, it's all about, for me personally, design and making something that looks good on my personal property. Prior to that, I did have a white box of some description, which I'm not saying are terrible, but actually, in terms of aesthetic and just ease of use, it's really been fantastic. And we see that theme driving through with many of our clients. Again, they're people that have an eye for design, they have an eye for clearly sustainability and sustainable luxury, and that then fits with the ethos both, I believe, of Andersen and also clearly Everrati. Yeah,
you touched on design there as obviously one of the key elements to an Andersen EV charger. I just wondered, obviously design is so important to what you guys do at Everrati, but why do you think design is so important for products such as an EV charger where, yes, its main use is to charge your vehicle, but things can also be beautiful as well as just practical, can't they?
Absolutely. I mean, why does anything exist but being well designed? If you look at, whether it's clothing, whether it's architecture, whether it's items for your home, you could always buy something that just works, but if you have something that just works and looks beautiful and fits into your lifestyle, then clearly that's got to be an advantage. So I think, the reality is you're going to probably keep that charger for quite a few years in reality. You want something that looks good, and you want something that is in keeping with your home, your lifestyle, and hopefully the cars that you have to charge it with as well.
Yeah. So what exactly goes into making an Everrati car, and what goes into making it so special and so unique in the market?
So every car we design and build, we take the original, clearly the designs. We heavily 3D scan the vehicle. So we're just working on another project at the moment where we've got 5 billion data points on one vehicle, so it's a lot of work. But essentially then every vehicle we do goes all the way back to the original chassis. That is then treated and ensured that it can't ever rust or get corrosion. And then it's all built up essentially almost as a new version of itself, but with the EV powertrain installed. So it's all about weight distribution, and really a powertrain that's entirely suited to that vehicle. Yeah, so as you can see, Charlie, so obviously we have here what used to be a very dirty, oily engine bay is now a beautiful leather-clad area where batteries, power electronics, and the motor actually is underneath, connected to the original transfer box actually. So we like to keep the character so you're still able to use either 2 or 4-wheel drive, and indeed a high and low ratio. Not that you really need that on an EV, but the key thing here, it's beautiful, it's clean, and it's actually been thoughtfully designed in a very similar way to an EV charger. And then just some other details. Obviously, we've got the Everrati Flying V, which is really to represent the heartbeat, I suppose, of Everrati, and certainly something that shows that it's different, obviously, compared to an original vehicle. Fully integrated charge ports here, so both standard home charging and indeed Type 2 CCS charging as well. If you come inside, you'll see again automotive grade bridge of wheel leather, seat heating, custom dials and gauges, wooden steering wheel, all the elements that people love in a restored classic, but again created for modern use. Custom door cards and the like, which of course you would never have had on the original. And then just coming back round to the rear, so we have again very, very usable space. This is perfect for taking the dogs out or maybe the kids park, but again full kind of marine grade teak decking, and again just something that people love to add their own personal touches to.
Yeah, so trying to do everything as authentic and as sympathetic to the original as possible, because obviously one thing that gets labelled against these is that you're sort of stripping all the character and all the personality of the car, whether rightly or wrongly, but people say that. But one thing just on the drive in, you still notice that it's still got that noise, it's still got that rattle to it that you'd expect from a car like this. So yeah, trying to keep that personality and that character within the car.
Yeah, and look, I think there's certain things that we don't do, so we don't overpower a car. I mean, in its day, this car did about 0 to 60, maybe slightly downhill in about 25 seconds, which isn't good for modern traffic. So we reduced that to about 13, 14 seconds, so it's still very usable. Range-wise, again, the original version of this only did around 150 miles on its very small tank. This also does around 150 miles. So, and that's because of current battery technology, which just really ensures that we are keeping within the relative weight of the vehicle, and ensuring that it's therefore safe. We obviously upgrade the brakes and steering systems, but in essence, it's all to maintain that character and that love of these cars.
Yeah, and so you touched on some of the other cars in your portfolio, obviously the GT40, which we had on our stand at London Concourse earlier this year, and the Pagoda as well. But where does this Land Rover rank in that catalogue of cars for you?
So look, I mean, it's the lower end of the price range, but it's just as important. In fact, I think we've now created more of these, or as many of these certainly as our Porsche product, which is also very popular. So it's really, really important car. It is loved by many. If I drive this through Paris, if I drive this through, we had this at Pebble Beach. We had a version of this at Pebble Beach Concours earlier in the year. People just love these cars. They put a smile on people's faces. So it's a really important car, clearly a huge British icon, and something that people just love to utilise on their estates or on their golf courses or wherever it might be.
So we're obviously filming this in November, hence why we're wrapped up and thankfully in the sunshine. So as 2025 approaches, what can we look forward to seeing from Everrati, and what plans do you have for next year?
So yes, 2025 is a really exciting year for Everrati. So we are not only in final testing now of our Generation 2 Land Rover, which are a number of long wheelbase 109, very, very characterful vehicles, hugely smooth and reliable and just great fun. And we're growing in a number of areas, both here in the UK, in Europe. We have our first UAE-based clients coming through. So really that story of sustainable luxury combined with some of these great automotive icons. And yeah, we have a strong belief in that true design essence of these vehicles, combined obviously with the most sustainable powertrain. So it's a really exciting time for us, and yeah, growing in multiple markets.
Perfect. Justin, thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Thank you.